Okay, so the new part arrived, and that's this part here. Fresh off the boat from China. Nice new recoil cord. Man, that's really got some springiness to it too, I'll tell you. The old one would kind of hang out sometimes. This one just snaps right back. So there's my new part. And let's see here. It looks like it's going to fit on there perfectly. I did track down another bolt as well, so that I can put the top bolt back in here. I just found one at Tractor Supply. And it looks like that grabs a hold fine to turn it over. So what I want to try to see now is if we're going to be able to braze these two pieces right here. And I'm hoping that maybe we can. I'm hoping that maybe I can take this and kind of hold it down on there with a C-clamp temporarily or something, and then we'll see if we can get that to braze up for us. But anyway, I'm going to get the brazing rods and the butane torch out, and we're going to see what we can do here to repair this. Okay, so what I have is this aluminum repair rod. All the parts are cleaned. This is kind of just temporarily, I got a C-clamp around it, and it's kind of just hanging out here and weighted down to help hold that in place while I heat it up. Also, this had a plastic cover over the cylinder to remove two bolts in the back and take that off. I don't want to melt anything while I'm brazing this up. So, cast aluminum typically melts around 900 degrees. These rods will melt between 728 and 1100 degrees. So the trick is to get this hot enough to melt the rod, but not so hot that it melts the cast aluminum. And then basically we're just going to take and flow that into the crack. I'm going to use my butane soldering iron for this, and basically I'll probably start with this one over here, and I have cleaned everything up really well, again with this MG Chemical Super Wash. This to get all the grease and everything out of the cracks. But hopefully this will make a good enough repair to keep this one from breaking all the way off, and to put that one on there to help hold the tank on. So we'll see how this goes. Basically, we're going to heat this part up and see what we can do. Now the real trick here is you have to heat up the part that you want to braze, and you'll kind of start to see it usually just change color a little bit to like a greenish color, kind of like a bluish green, and that's usually when this is just getting hot enough to take on the solder. We're not there yet. Yeah, it's looking like I just don't have enough heat here. Let me go get the other torch. Okay, so I got the bigger torch here. See if we can get enough heat on there with this bad boy. Of course, the trick here is going to be not to melt anything, like my fuel line. We'll tuck that down out of the way. We'll try to explore what else we may do. Take this old starter cover, put it like back here over my plug wire and stuff, kind of help cover that stuff up a little, and then I'm going to try to just heat this up right here. Throw some good heat on this bad boy. I can see how the flames are already starting to get green on me there. I started this ball up a little on the end. Let's see if maybe we aim it out this way. Oh, it's getting close. Alright folks, I did get a little bit of aluminum welded on the back of this one. That part just didn't work out at all. What I'm going to need to do this right is MAP gas. And I just have a propane tank. Ow, hot. So I'm going to let this kind of while cool down. And then we'll get the new starter on here. And I'm just going to go ahead and go without it welding this for the time being. And like I said, I'm going to have to get some hotter like MAP gas. Burnt my finger. Get some hotter MAP gas to really get those to weld up. I think there's just too big of a chunk of aluminum to get that one point hot enough. It seems to work good with thinner pieces of aluminum I've used before, but on this block it's just not quite getting the job done. So I'll probably do a video on that at another time. But right now I'm just going to get it back together and be careful with it and try not to be rough with it, and hopefully it'll hold out for us. So these pieces have cooled down enough now. This piece here is still too hot. I'm going to need to heat sink that to something to cool it down. Throw my socket wrench on it. That'll cool it down. Okay, so what I'll do here first is we'll put this plastic cover that I took off back on. And that just goes back on like so. I almost don't even know if I'd like having that cover on there. It's an air-cooled engine, but yet it's got a plastic shroud around the air fins. I guess they do that maybe to help keep you from burning yourself. Yeah. Looking at that exhaust pipe, there's a pretty good kink in that exhaust pipe too. Probably doesn't help the flow any. So this had 2 washers and 2 little bolts in it. Basically, little washers went on here, and then these bolts went in on top. And bolt that right there. Grab my little socket wrench here. Snug those down. Okay, then we come back around here, and that part is still pretty hot, even though I've been heat seeking it to my socket wrench. But now we'll go ahead and put our cover back on here. You see, I'll run my spark plug wire back around here. That went up here like this. There's a little clip back here that sits in. Pretty straightforward. So now the new starter cover. That just basically comes up here and bolts right on like so, and we'll put our bolts in there. And I did go ahead and find another bolt so that I can put all the bolts back in the starter cover. Which may be part of why it broke too, if it was flexing incorrectly. But I think it had more to do as I was trying to start it up in some real cold, like sub-zero weather. And I should have, lesson learned is to maybe take it inside and let it warm up for 10 minutes first. because, you know, it's hard to get started anyway. You're really yanking on it, and that plastic in there just got brittle from the cold. So we'll bolt these back on. No, we're not getting ice cream from the ice cream truck. I don't have any cash on me. No. Alright, we got popsicles in the freezer. We're not going to get any ice cream at the ice cream truck. I'm sorry. It was the end of the world, man. Alright, just about got that one. Now, this one down here. You know what I may do is see if I can't fasten something up to go in between that tank bolt and the starter cover, because I know there's like an empty part back in here on that cover that I could probably put a bolt through and just put like a piece of strap in between there. Leave the old cover here. Well, that, yeah, I mean, there's kind of a blank space back in here where there ain't much. I could put a bolt through there and then just bring, you know, a bolt down between this one and down in here, and just bolt that up, make that nice and sturdy between the two maybe. And then I wouldn't have to weld nothing. But right now, I mean, it feels pretty sturdy, so I think we'll be okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and, you can see where this kind of got bent. So this thing has taken a nice hard knock, and my guess is it was dropped. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put this fuel line back on here now. We'll go ahead and put these two bolts back in this side. Okay, that's back on that side. Now, I'm going to take my other part here if it's cool enough. And it is. And I'm going to go ahead and probably put it back under here and bolt it in. Mostly just so I don't lose it. Because I have a tendency to lose things. Okay, so here's the bolt that I dug out of my junk bin. I think this might be easier to do if I loosen the other side here a little. Okay. Oh, come on. You can definitely tell this tank is kind of bent. This has been dropped for sure. But what can I can't really complain. I basically traded this for an old window air conditioner that I didn't need anymore. So I'm not complaining. At least by putting this other piece back in here, I won't lose it. And it'll still work for the downward force. So if you push down on it like you're trying to start it, it'll at least be good for that. And then we'll tighten this one in. Looks like the fuel line's good. I'll retighten this sign. I'm going to make sure my switch is off. I don't want it to start. The starter works good. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to start it up and we're going to let it run. I'll probably go ahead and throw a charger on it here, and we will see if it will handle the load. Alright, so there she is running. The new starter on there. He's using his little taxi cab to pretend to be a camera following Dad around. But I got it running. Went ahead and threw the battery charger on there. Threw it on 10 amps. Let's see if it's going to charge. Looks like it's attempting to charge. And it's a maintenance-free deep cycle. So yeah, we'll let it run a good tank of gas through it here. Smoking a little bit. I think I got the oil mixed in the gas a little too rich. And while I'm burning up the gas to give it a good run out, I might as well put juice in the batteries. So that's pretty much it. How to do a starter on one of these little guys. Any questions or comments, please like and subscribe, and feel free to ask any questions or comments that you have, and I will try to reply to you. Thanks.